Well, good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is Trevor Greenfield joining you once again from the VirtualRacing.Network live commentary booth of some exciting IndyCar iRacing action. It's the US IndyCar League's season opening round. It's season 11, round 1, the StickQuik 180 here at Iowa Speedway, of course, virtual Iowa Speedway. All of these contenders doing battle from the privacy of their own homes. We're going to be doing 205 laps here as we kick off this season, and it is my pleasure, as I mentioned, my name Trevor Greenfield. I am so happy to be joining with the US IndyCar League in an official partnership to bring you all 12 rounds of this season, season 11. So if you caught of course, you can go over to our YouTube channel and catch the last round of the last season. But as we get ready to go here, it is Jason Lowe who won the championship in last season, and that makes 3 in a row for him. It was quite exciting finish in Texas for the series three-peat champion. So we'll see, can he repeat this season? Many of the amazing contenders from last season joining us again for this season. We'll be going over all of that in due time. As I mentioned, however, we are getting ready to go here on track, and we are about to be seeing some qualifying times put in. So here we can see Graham Bunyan has now put his car, the 101 machine. Graham from Australia joining us once again here in the US IndyCar League. It taken kind of part of the end of last season off, but he's made a commitment and he says he will be in for most, if not all, of the season as he sits on pit road. Now we catch Jeff Murray here. I believe it's Murray, excuse me. Jeff Murray here in the number 5 machine, bright green and yellow livery. Let's see what he can do in qualifying for this very first round of the season. Looks like he'll put it 10th quick, and he'll pull the machine into pit road. And so I think that's, we've got 3 cars yet to qualify. That's Mike West, Will Stearns, and Inigo Mardones. And so right now, we can get the best times up there on the board. It is Graham Bunyan, who actually, from my calculations, has the most wins of anybody in this league over the past 3 seasons, including over Jason Lowe, our series champion. But these two now are going to start 1-2, Graham Bunyan and Jason Lowe from St. Augustine, Florida, as you see there. James Kennedy going to be starting 3rd. And now we just wait for this session to go official before we can show you the full grid. But we have some other exciting stuff to go over. So why don't we, while we just have a moment, why don't we go ahead and take a look here at our upcoming schedule. So as you can see, today we are at the Iowa Speedway for the StickQuik 180, and then we'll be going to Kansas Speedway for more great oval action. Then a very, it's always the most special, as far as I'm concerned, the most special race of the entire season, the Indianapolis race. It's the Care Camps 250. Care Camps actually a great organization that helps young cancer, young folks suffering with cancer, and helps them to go to summer camps. So let's get the schedule off the screen for the moment, because the session has gone official, and that means that it is in fact Let's see. Graham Bunyan. Just flying around this software at 7 a.m. Only working on my second cup of coffee. Excuse me, out here on the Pacific Coast. A little late start here. Graham Bunyan in first. Jason Lowe in second. James Kennedy in third. Howard Livingston fourth. Dan Ensch going to be starting fifth. Last season's second place finisher there, Dan Ensch. We've got AJ Musselman in sixth. Rick Lovison there at seventh. David Zalesky in eighth. Richard Kelbaugh in ninth. Jeff Murray in 10th. Manuel Gomez Esteban there in 11th. Probably not where he would want to be starting. And then Mike West and Will Stearns also not putting in times. And finally, at the back, we have Inigo Mardones. So this group is all set here momentarily to take to the Iowa Speedway and do some battle as we get ready to roll under the pace car. Now, I've done quite a few laps here myself in an IndyCar, in some various races, in the Indy Open Series and the Indy Fixed Series. And I can just say that, you know, as we take a look maybe at the weather for today's race, and you'll note that I have finally changed it so that we can see these in imperial units and not metric units. So I apologize for those of you in metric landia who have to do the conversion. 84 degrees here, the track temp. That's not very warm, but this track can heat up for sure. It is only 9 o'clock in the virtual morning there. So as we get close to going live here and going green for our very first lap of the race, we watch Graham Bunyan lead them down to the green flag, and we get set for an exciting day's action. 205 laps scheduled for today as we heading down into turn one. We're just getting set for, I mean, this is when the butterflies are there. This is when you're getting nervous. I mean, I still get a little bit of butterflies even just watching this, and I hope you are too, watching this from wherever you're watching. And I do appreciate you tuning in. I understand that the F1 race has just finished, and I won't spoil that for those of you who are DVRing that race. But suffice to say, if you haven't seen the results, quite an amazing race that was. So you might tune in for that, the Baku Grand Prix. But here we start the season. It's season 11 of the US IndyCar League, and Graham Bunyan takes us to the green flag. And we look, everyone seems to file in single file. I don't see any action further back, as we can see these drivers all pretty much filing in, as I mentioned, in line. Try to get a shot overhead, see if we can see any incidents at all. And it looks like everybody just doing fine. So we go back to the front here with Graham Bunyan. And Graham and Jason Lowe, James Kennedy in third here, shown just behind. Number 75 machine. And up in front, still Jason Lowe tucks in. Here we go on board with Jason. He's trying to look inside. Jason pulls back out of the pass, maybe just sizing up Graham Bunyan for a pass. I did hear a wall scrape there. I'm not sure if he actually touched it, if that was just a net code on our side. We move back to James Kennedy on board, and we can see this battle in front of us for first and second. Just a question as to when Jason decides to make his move. So here again, Graham Bunyan leading. Nobody surprised. The Australian, the most victorious here in this league, despite not having competed in as many races as everyone else. So it's pretty amazing what Graham has been able to do in the US IndyCar League. What he needs this season is a little bit more consistency, and he will find himself in the top 3 for certain. As we can see again here at the front, Jason Lowe challenging Graham, giving him something to think about. As you can see, Graham taking a very high line there off of turn 4. It looks like Jason may have a run on him. Again, I hear from my ears, it looks like Jason Lowe has gotten into the wall again. I was hearing little scrapes, and sometimes you can't really tell if it's the internet connection that might be making you think that the car's hitting the wall or not, but in fact, it looks like Jason has survived that. Not sure exactly how. I'm still hearing cars scraping here. It is, as I was mentioning, you know, the tires on these cars anyway have quite high degradation as soon as you get excessive wear or heat, and doesn't take much much track temp to cause more excessive degradation. And this being a fixed series, everybody's using the same setups, but it just depends on how you use the in-car adjustments to either save the tires or possibly overuse those tires. It just depends on a number of different factors. Here you can see AJ Musselman up a position on the day in 5th place, running the very multicolored scheme here. I'm hastening to call it a rainbow. It is a rainbow. It definitely is a rainbow. It's one of the most colorful schemes in the field for sure. AJ Musselman, shown here, hometown Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, USA. He's actually racing out of Arizona. And so as we can see, series regular David Zalesky here from Green, New York, challenging on the outside of AJ. Now, I should tell you, I happen to know AJ and by the way, David Zalesky here up 3 positions on the day. No surprise to see him marching his way forward. And by the way, we are watching that battle at the front for the top 4 positions. Nobody has changed any positions so far. It's still Graham Bunyan leading Jason Lowe and James Kennedy, as well as Howard Livingston. So, and here we can see that it looks like Jason Lowe may be struggling again. We have Jason going a little high in the corner, and that's giving James Kennedy something to consider, maybe making a move on Jason for second. We're also seeing, it appears, Richard Kelbaugh dropping to the back. I'm not sure what's happened to him. He's lost 4 positions. Now gaining 1 back. Do we have... Yes, we have Manuel Gomez Esteban into the wall and riding the wall around with his car. It's unfortunate that this is not some sort of a skateboarding competition, because he would be getting extra points for that, or this were a BMX competition. No, in fact, you're supposed to keep all 4 of those wheels on the ground. So let's take a look back and see. That's a little ways in. We'll have to back it up and see if we can find out what exactly happened. Now, of course, this will bring out
the yellow flag has already done so, and we will be seeing pit stops very soon. Here we take a look, and it looks like he just gets high off of the corner on exit, and car just goes right up into the wall. Take a look again from one more angle before we go to the live look at the pit stops. See if we can see from onboard what he was seeing. There, the car, it just strips up the track. Really not much can even be done there. So we go back live to the live picture here, and here comes the train of cars down pit road. We have Graham Bunyan leading just about everybody onto pit road. Like, I think everybody in the field pitting in this one. Nobody going down a lap yet, so no real reason to stay out there. Now, can anybody beat Graham off of pit road? No, they can't. However, no, I apologize. I didn't see him, but Mike West did actually stay out. And so that does move him into first place. This is a gamble. You put yourself... He'll get a credit for leading a lap here, but it doesn't really do him any favors in the long run in terms of being on the same fuel strategy or having fuel to make it to the end. However, we have done 22 laps, and he's probably getting close to about half tank, so looks like Mike running the same paint scheme there as Graham Bunyan, so presumably they are teammates. And that's a sharp looking paint job, whoever's your painter, guys. And so this is quite an interesting situation. If they are friends, teammates, etc., these two have got to work out some sort of strategy, if they can, to break away from James Kennedy, Howard Livingston, David Zalesky. Now, hang on, we've got something going on here. Jason Lowe has dropped back. He is now shown in 13th position, losing many places thus far. And so this is very interesting because he may have had some damage, potentially got it fixed on pit road, took an optional repair. Little difficult to tell exactly what is going on, so we will try to find out. We will try to determine that. I do not see any incidents for him thus far, and you wouldn't expect that. Again, these cars are just and there you can see Mike West actually coming in, doing his pit stop, so that will take him out of the lead, so he gets credit for leading a lap. However, he will serve this pit stop and rejoin towards the end of the field. Now, it does not appear as though Manuel Gomez Esteban will get back out there. So, difficult news for the Gomez Esteban fan club in the YouTube chat room. So, we do have 4 people joining us today. So happy to have you joining us, and in the YouTube chat. Yeah, definitely say hello if you're around, and let us know where you're joining us from. And in the meantime, you are enjoying Season 11 Round 1 coverage on VirtualRacing.Network of the US IndyCar League. This is the opening round of the league. We got 12 rounds coming at you. We'll take another look at that schedule coming up soon. And in the meantime, Graham Bunyan basically picking up right where he left off. No problems whatsoever in this race thus far. And he possibly will just continue right on through the next stint. We shall see. It's Graham Bunyan who leads us back to the green flag. I have a feeling we're going to be saying that a lot. As we take a look a little bit further back, we can see Dan Ensch taking a quick look. Last season, second place. And just in front of him, very familiar face of AJ Musselman. Very, very regular competitor in the fixed series, the IndyCar fixed series on iRacing. Frequent winner, frequent front runner. So he is a brand new driver to the series, and it is our pleasure to welcome him and to see what he can do versus this very good established competition in the league. So we're here on lap 29, and it is Graham Bunyan in the lead. Behind him in second place, James Kennedy. He's gained a position, of course, with Jason Lowe dropping back. And there you see David Zalesky getting around Howard Livingston. And Howard still hanging tight on the outside, takes that position back. David in the Oreo machine drifting out a little wide, but gathering it back up and taking advantage of this really strong draft here in Iowa. As David tries to work the high side. This for fourth place. Meanwhile, just a little further back, AJ Musselman. I should point out, of course, it is the start of Pride Month, and AJ showing his pride for sure with the rainbow paint scheme. Apologize if I was just looking at my mic modulating potentially, so hopefully the audio levels sound good. If you're in the chat room and thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. Dragon Racer, good to have you, and see you're part of the Jason Lowe fan club by default, whether you like it or not. Great to have you in the chat room. And Jason's doing quite well out there. He seems to have gathered it back up. Taking a look at Jason's lap times. Now, of course, this is Jason, who was our first place finisher of last season, and he is right now showing in 12th place. I was just trying to see the lap times, and he appears to be on pace, so it doesn't appear to be anything catastrophic for Jason Lowe. He's just kind of running in the back, maybe doing a little bit of fuel saving, potentially. So, meanwhile, at the front, Graham Bunyan, 38 laps in, is just walking away with this thing. It seems like he is in full control. He's pulled out over a second over James Kennedy. Again, James now starting to slip off the back of the draft from Graham. And so if James was intending to do any fuel saving, he's going to find it more difficult now that, and I'm seeing a note that says, Inigo Mardones has crashed. Here we have it, folks, hitting the wall right around start finish and coming back across the track, fortunately not collecting anyone else, and we are not going to go yellow. Let's see if we can take a look real quick at what potentially could have happened. My guess is it's just the same thing, and it is. It's just car gets a little high in the corner, right up into the wall, and shears off the right front, back across. So you're just a passenger at this point. You really can't determine where the car will go. So we go back to the live picture up front. Graham Bunyan. You're going to be hearing that name a lot. A lot. You're going to be hearing that name a lot. So Graham Bunyan from Australia getting it done, up by a second over, James Kennedy here. And here I see that AJ Musselman has now made his move around Howard Livingston for fourth. It looks like this one may stick, and you can see Musselman gets a little high in turn 4, potentially having an issue with these tires. This is what I was talking about, folks. Iowa can be brutal. This is one of those tracks that you rely a little too much on that right rear. You'll find yourself drifting further and further up that track on exit. And then you can see further back this battle between Dan Ensch and Howard Livingston. Dan fighting hard here, as well as you can see just behind Rick Lovison and Jeff Murray. So definitely some drivers changing positions. As it's my pleasure to say, David Zalesky is in third place, and that puts him up 5 positions, therefore in our potential winning position of the Hard Charger Award, which seems to be a popular award. So we're going to continue it this season, and we'll continue to keep you updated who is the hardest charger of the day. So far, David Zalesky up 5 positions. So here we take a look at Zalesky, and just a little ways down the road, 2.9 seconds, AJ Musselman. So AJ doing very well in his debut here in the league, and we'll have to see what he has to say about this, the end of this race, because we still have 155 laps to go, folks. Don't go anywhere. I mean, maybe if you don't have your popcorn or your whatever you're having for brunch here Sunday morning. So yeah, definitely get whatever you need from the fridge. Probably should do that at the caution, but get whatever you need, because you got 150 more action-packed laps to come. And again, it is anyone's race at this point. Everybody pretty close. The only people off the lead lap, and as I continue to hear scrapes of the wall, it's a question as to who is scraping the wall, and it's not registering as an incident. So are they doing damage to the car? It is definitely possible. As you see, David Zalesky closing in on James Kennedy for second. Kennedy drifting a little high in the corner. There he makes his move to the inside. And takes the position out of turn 2. Runs a little high in the next corner, but Iowa being one of those tracks that has a couple of different lines you can take through the corner, and this one working very well for David Zalesky. Not really looking, back up 6 positions and trying to charge to the front. Right now, that front spot is being held by Graham Bunyan. Have I said his name? Graham in total control, executing his strategy to perfection thus far, holding on to his car excellently. Now Graham's best lap, a 17.22. His last lap, an 18.14. Now, this doesn't mean a lot, but I should point out that David Zalesky was 5/100ths of a second faster on that last lap. In fact, and then in that lap, he was 3/100ths of a second faster. So, you know, Zalesky's got 1.4 seconds to go to catch. But if he has, and I'm seeing this gap actually coming down now. It's down to 1.20, and Graham Bunyan, is Graham having a problem maybe? Because the gap on my screen is not showing. It's come down to 1 second. So Graham now getting around Mike West We'll just call him his teammate. We'll get confirmation of that for the next round for sure. And I'm seeing that Jason Lowe is in the pits. Now, I don't have a note that says he's crashed or anything. I'm not sure if he just scraped the wall or if this is a planned stop. It looks like it's going on for a long time, so we'll keep an eye on that, but that is your series defending champion, Jason Lowe, in the pits right now, falling at least one lap down. And again, we'll keep an eye on when he emerges. But once again, no incident, so if he did make contact, it would have been a 0x contact or even not reported as a 0x, a no incident contact. So, meanwhile, this battle between David Zalesky and Graham Bunyan has kind of gone back the other way just a little bit. It's back to a 1.20 second gap between the two. And then a little bit further back, we have James Kennedy, followed by AJ Musselman there in fourth. And AJ up 2 positions in his debut. Dan Ensch doing what he does best. I think taking care of the car and making sure that he's there at the end. And that gets you a long ways in racing, whether it's league racing, or open or fixed or anything. Just being there at the end really helps. Now, in the meantime, we have this battle going on between Howard Livingston and Rick Lovison there for 7th and 8th. And it looks like, just like that, it's turned into not as much of a battle. Howard getting around Rick. I can just see that there were multiple passes back and forth of these two. It looks like they're not done. Here comes Rick once again, back on Howard Livingston. We'll take a little bit further back. Here is Richard Kelbaugh. As you can see, Jason Lowe just in front of him. He's actually behind him in the positions because of Lowe's lengthy pit stop. However, it looks like Lowe is back underway, and now Richard Kelbaugh right now still holding on to that 9th spot, which is where he started. And take a look a little bit further back. This is Will Stearns, who's 7.3 seconds adrift of Richard Kelbaugh now. Will is actually up 3 positions from where he started, but it seems like he's going to have a long road to go here to figure this one out. Meanwhile, Jason Lowe is now shown, I believe it's 5 laps off of the pace. So this is not the series opening race that he would have liked. It's not going his way. And again, we missed any sort of contact that he made, but it was light, whatever it was. Certainly didn't knock off any wings. So we'll get a chance, we'll discuss that with him either at the end of the race or between races. We'll try to fill you in next race. Meanwhile, we got Mike West pulling in. Is he coming into the pits? It does appear as though he is coming into the pits, but he's going very, very slowly here on the apron. What is going on with Mike West? Very, very slow pit entry here for Mike. Not sure if he was just being extra careful or if he has an issue. Looks like all of his bits are on the car, so not sure. But we also have, unfortunately, we have lost Inigo Mardones in that accident earlier, as well as Manuel Gomez Esteban, both of our Spanish drivers out of today's race, leaving just Graham Bunyan, our only non-American, still running in the field. And Graham is doing a heck of a job at that. 76 laps in. He has a 1.37 second gap over David Zalesky. Now, I'm sure Graham would love to be able to pull out a little bit more of a gap than that. But David's not letting him go. And in fact, David's just staying within the drafting distance. So we'll have to see whether or not traffic plays a factor here going forward and whether David can continue to gain on Graham or whether David himself maybe used up some tires. I know that traffic is really a factor, as we can see Graham having to deal with this battle up in front. Graham making his move to the outside. And gets around. So here I have a note that looks like AJ Musselman has pulled in to the pits. This very well could be a planned pit stop here. Of course, in iRacing, we don't get the lovely pit stop animations that you see in car when you are racing normally. Here's Jeff Beret also just barely making it into the pits. Not sure if he actually made it with the speed, but this is going to start to, because this is starting some green flag pit stops, this is really going to play with the strategy overall and the running order. As we can see, Graham Bunyan here still in the lead, and Zalesky has now, he had just clawed it to under a second with all of this traffic that Bunyan has had to work around. And now we have Will Stearns also in the pits. So we'll take a look here. Now you can see that your top 7 have not done a pit stop. The first of which, the first of the group that has done the pit stop, let's see. Yes, so Howard Livingston is running in 7th. However, it's AJ Musselman who leads the group of those who have just done a second pit stop. So should a yellow come out right now, it is AJ who sits really in position to take over the lead of the race. And you can see that on your screen there as we await more of the leaders to come down pit road. So once again, I am Trevor Greenfield, and you are watching VirtualRacing.Network's coverage of the opening round of the Season 11 Championship. It's the StickQuik 180 at Iowa Speedway. And Graham Bunyan having a little bit of trouble with trying to lap Jason Lowe. Swerving all around the track here, as we can see here on lap 90. Jason Lowe, for those of you that are just joining us, and Lowe really making it difficult for Bunyan to get around. Bunyan trying everything he can, and there he gets around. I'm not sure if Lowe just thought better of it or what, but he made it very, very difficult for Graham to get around. And finally, Graham did get around. So really can't tell you if that was strategy by Lowe, thinking about the long-term championship implications, or just making... Oh, and it does say that Jason Lowe crashed, so that must have been what happened. I just missed it out of the corner of my eye as I was messing with the software there, and we could see him wall riding. Yeah, so in fact, that's what happened. Jason Lowe getting high in the corner, trying to let other drivers go by, and then just still out there in those marbles. And unfortunately, hitting the wall there. And just as I say that, we go back to the live picture, and Graham Bunyan, I missed it, but I believe... Did Graham make a pit stop? I don't see that he did make a pit stop. However, David Zalesky is in the pits. So we just, while we were in that, I want to go back here and take a look. We can figure out what happened as these other drivers have now come into the pits. What happened to cause... I want to go back to Graham Bunyan and see what happened there. He just... It looked like he struggled to get into the pits and missed... Did he miss pit entry? It looks like he missed pit entry and had to go all the way around again. Not able to service the car. I'm not sure. And then he rejoins the track. I am not sure at all whether that's going to amount to a penalty for Graham. But either way, what a turn of events for somebody who, this driver, Graham, was absolutely on a tear. He was doing everything so perfectly, and then it appears as though something caused him to miss pit road, just maybe taking a little too hot, or it's very difficult to tell from here, but he just didn't quite get it right, and as a result... Has he finally done? Yes, he's finally done his pit stop. Graham Bunyan down 4 places on this day, and now looks like 7.5 seconds back of the lead that he was once in full control over. So now that puts this man, James Kennedy from Dallas, Texas, up into the lead. James, a name we haven't been talking about too much. Let's see, he last pitted on lap 92, so he's not the most recent pitter, but he is on the current fuel strategy, and so James Kennedy actually in first place legitimately here and has a chance at the victory. So what a turn of events in just a few laps. And now we have David Zalesky, who was running second before, again in second place behind him. So David not slipping back. Jeff Murray finds himself in third. Now Jeff pitted on lap 80, so he and then AJ Musselman just behind. Looks like AJ is getting caught here by... Well, that's Graham Bunyan on the outside, and Graham does get around. So Graham making his march back forward now that he's... And Graham getting so close to that outside wall, unbelievably close. Graham having to make up all kinds of time now that he had that issue earlier getting into the pits. He's had to make his march back forward. So here you can see Jeff Murray racing out of New Concord, Ohio. And just behind Graham Bunyan. Getting around, I believe that's the Rick Lovison car there, the number 9. So here, AJ Musselman in 5th place, up a position on the day. Once again, now he's not on necessarily the most recent favored pit strategy given everything that's transpired, but you never know how this will turn out, and it does appear as though here is your battle as you see him go low there. Oh, it is Jeff Murray who drifts up high with Will Stern just in front of him as Graham Bunyan has now made the pass for 3rd place. So Graham on a tear coming back through the field. But no problems up front. James Kennedy now has a, if I'm reading that correctly, has a 9.6 second advantage over David Zalesky. That is phenomenal. I admit I don't exactly understand what strategy has put James into this position. It could be some of his driving capability, but he appears to be doing similar lapse times as everyone else. So magically he finds himself 9.5 seconds ahead and only 2 laps of difference on the fuel strategy between himself and David Zalesky and Graham Bunyan. Meanwhile, if we're trying to figure out how far it is to go, David Zalesky just under 9 seconds up to Kennedy. However, Bunyan will need to catch 3.4 seconds to catch David Zalesky for 2nd. So can he do it? Well, it looks like Bunyan and Zalesky, it's tough to tell with the traffic, but they are doing similar lap times at the moment. Can bring that up on screen. So you can see here that, in fact, it looks like he's going backwards a little bit, running a little bit slower of laps, and they came in on the same lap, so it's possible that Graham has had to, he definitely had to go around some traffic, but it's also possible that Graham has had to use up more of his tires going through that traffic, and it appears as though that gap is now continuing to grow a little bit. So we'll keep an eye on the gap, but as we work our way through the field, it's Jeff Murray there in 4th place, up 6 positions, tied with David Zalesky for the Hard Charger Award, and not very far behind, it's AJ Musselman in 5th place, up a position. Dan Ensch down 1 spot. Why I think I'm showing that. Did Dan Ensch just go a lap down potentially? I apologize for flipping back and forth there, but Dan is now shown, it may just be my software, no, it is being shown that Dan is now a lap down, so that will complicate matters for your 2nd place finisher in last season's championship, as he'll try to figure out how to claw that lap back, possibly under a yellow flag. Trying to give you some good information here to take a look at pit stop strategy, etc. So here at the front, it's James Kennedy, and as we were mentioning, this gap has now started to really come down, I think, as James has had to fight his way through traffic. So Richard Kelba there just in front. He's deep in a battle with Howard Livingston at the moment. And so this is difficult. This is a difficult thing for James to have to do. He's having to thread the needle between these two who are in a battle for 8th and 9th position at the moment. And you can see Dan Ensch there creeping into the picture because James has really had to slow to try to get around. It looks like he's not able to make the move, has to duck back behind. And James still not able to get the pass done. Finally making his move down the inside of Howard Livingston there. And he has to pull back out yet again. As you can see, Dan Ensch now creeping back into the picture. It's a question, does Dan go for the position of trying to take that lap back? Does he have the speed? Does he have the car to do that? And will he be able to not only take the lap back, but then march forward after that? Dan getting very close here. The gap now closing to the car behind as you see James sliding directly up in front of Howard. Perhaps not happy that he couldn't get around, but now taking off from Howard and putting a little bit of a gap between himself and Howard. But David Zalesky now has clawed that gap down to 5 seconds. So if we can see, that's not the one. We want to look at this graphic. Sometimes these things want to work right, and sometimes they do not. I'd love to show you a certain graphic that will bring it all into focus, but in the meantime, it's no question, it's James Kennedy up front. James taking advantage of a problem, and now we see that Jason Lowe is on pit road. I didn't see when he pulled down, but he is in fact down and potentially out of this race. Not moving on pit road, and I also see that Dan Ensch has just passed AJ Musselman. AJ just barely making it there onto pit road. It's like a little bit of a lockup. So AJ, one of the drivers that was off strategy, and makes his stop. But this is up front. This is James Kennedy. He stopped on lap 92. That is 2 laps earlier than David Zalesky. So potentially that will make a difference. And we await them to come down pit road. Meanwhile, here on your screen, Richard Kelbaugh and Howard Livingston still knee-deep in this battle. It just seems like these two have been going at it the entire race. I don't know if they like running nose to tail, or if they just and they want to swap the draft, or if they are truly trying to pass each other. But either way, having lots of fun trying to make passes out there. And just in front of them, you've got the number 9 car here, Rick Lovison here from Chicago, Illinois. Rick with a beautiful custom livery there. Apologize, I can't get any closer. Try to get you some cameras in the future that will do that for us. Here is James Kennedy up front, no problems, but 5.9 seconds back. There, David Zalesky sitting in second, 6 positions gained on the day. What can David do? with the time remaining. And by the way, it's Graham Bunyan behind him in third place, same as it has been, but Graham having that issue earlier on and now having to deal with a car that maybe isn't responding the way that he would like. He's not the fastest car out there on the track at the moment, but still hanging on to that third place. It's Jeff Murray here in fourth. Didn't know we would be talking about Jeff as much as we are today, and now I can see that Graham Bunyan has actually pulled in out of third. So that will give up third place to Jeff Murray. Go back to that live picture. And then here in fourth place, it's Dan Ensch out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. Dan, the last lap motorsports driver, even though it says privateer, we'll get that updated. He is in fact with last lap motorsports. So that pass was for position. I apologize, it's so many things are happening so quickly and people are changing laps very quickly, but Dan Ensch actually just made that pass on Jeff Murray for third place. And Jeff Murray then pulls into the pit. So Jeff possibly having some tire issues. And Jeff, it says Jeff Murray has crashed. Did he crash? I don't know. Oh, he comes to a full stop. Has to back up and make it to pit road. And this is what we saw. So now it's starting to make sense of what we saw with Graham Bunyan earlier. And this actually very costly. That was a lot of time that was lost there on entrance to pit road. So, unfortunately, we were just talking about it. It's commentator's curse. It certainly is. We focus on somebody who's doing well, somebody we haven't been talking about. We want to highlight them, and then they have an issue. So, we do have Howard Livingston into the pits, as well as... Well, actually, he is the only driver into the pit. So we have James Kennedy, who last pitted on lap 92. He is definitely ready for a pit stop. And we await his pit stop at any moment, especially the fact that he's been out there in the lead. You would think he was running fuel map 1 or fuel map 2. Now we've got Dan Ensch and David Zalesky there just making it into the pits. Dan Ensch just in front. So Dan actually pitting, I believe, from third place and David from second. That's going to turn over second place to Rick Lovison. And so we watch as Dan falls down the order. He had just clawed that lap back. Brings up the revs and exits his pit box. So Dan now rejoining as Zalesky here also rejoins. Go back up to Dan, and it looks like he's getting out in the clean air. So no problems for him. So take a look from overhead. Continue. Again, I'll have to listen to this broadcast afterwards. I keep just hearing these random little scrapes against the wall, and I'm not sure. It's coming through my hearing, so technically I'm hearing the same thing as you. Just, I don't know if it's coming through on the broadcast is all. So, this is James Kennedy, who is still leading this race, having last stopped on lap 92. His last lap time was an 18.77. So I'm not sure what he's trying to do here, because most of these drivers on fresh tires are doing low 18s right now. And so it's very likely, as we can see, David Zalesky passing Graham Bunyan here. This is for second place, folks. Zalesky and Bunyan now together on the track. And wow, that was close. Extremely close action there. as Graham Bunyan had to back out of it a little bit. I think they caught, it might have been Howard Livingston, as now Rick Levison hits, Mike West hits. So, of course, things getting quite jumbled up. Kennedy now finally makes it into the pits. He has a good pit entrance. He is not, he did not lock it up coming into the pits. This will eventually turn over the lead to the driver out of Green, New York, David Zalesky, in the blue and white Oreo machine here. And I have no idea. I'd love to talk to David about why his choice to put that on his side pod is. But I figure if Jason Lowe can put his favorite snack beverage to have on the side of his car, I suppose you could put your snack food on the side. And why not? Have fun with it. So Zalesky here in first. It's 2.75 seconds back to Graham Bunyan, who is now in second place. Zalesky stopping on lap 148, Bunyan on lap 140, and then we get to Richard Kelba, who is one of the last holdouts not having done a pit stop yet. As you can see, James Kennedy there lurking in the background. I'm not having done a pit stop yet, as far as not having done his third pit stop, excuse me. And there you can see James Kennedy getting around. Richard Kelba, his tires absolutely no match at this point. Kelba shown doing a 17.51 that last time by, and Kennedy a 17.25, and I imagine that gap will continue to increase. So let's take a look again at the weather. We're up to 95 degrees track temp. Still not super hot, but it has warmed up a bit as we're past the 10 o'clock virtual hour here at the virtual Iowa Speedway. And we are now 162 laps into a 205 lap race. This is the US IndyCar League, and you are watching season 11 round 1 as James Kennedy is in third place, but it's this man who is one of the absolute favorites in this series, has done quite well in the past, but he has jumped into control of this race. It is David Zalesky in the number 7 machine, pretty much doing what he wants up in the lead right now. And Graham Bunyan has dropped back 3.25 seconds from this lead spot. As I'm seeing, is AJ Musselman having an issue? I can't. It looks as though it's just Musselman and Ensch kind of running a battle here. Take a look just a moment ago. This was Ensch getting around Musselman. This was in 5th place. Ensch getting away with running that low line. Purple and white Spark VR machine. Also, you see the alz.org for those of you that were with us in the season closing race last season. Played a little PSA for Alzheimer's.org. And of course, Dan wants to see that disease cured once and for all, as well as many, many people who are suffering or who have family members who are suffering. So, just to recap, here we go. We'll run through the field for you. We're now 169 of 205. Everybody has made their third pit stop. Everybody's probably going to need to make 148, 156. No, actually, I think Kennedy is in the position right now, potentially. I believe that James Kennedy can potentially make it to the end on his fuel. Certainly if we get a yellow flag, I don't expect Kennedy to come down pit road. So Kennedy last stopped on, if we can pull this out to show. There we go. So you can see that Kelba in 8th place, as well as Kennedy, are in fact the two most recent hitters. And so they are in position to go to the end. It is possibly a question mark as to whether the others can make it on. If this continues green, I am not 100% sure that the others can make it. I don't know exactly how far you can make it on one tank, but it seems to be about 45 laps or so, and that would put some of these runners a little short. So I don't want to call that. We'll have to see how this plays out in the long run, but it is something to be aware of as we get close to the end of this race. So we had Howard Livingston here passing Richard Kelba again. Actually, it's not showing on our screen. This would be it. Howard Livingston. I can't quite tell. He did get around. And so while I'm seeing David Zalesky there leaving on the track, I'm not sure what that was all about. Obviously, no fuel pickup problems or anything like that. Should be one reason why you would weave, but potentially having a correction moment. It's a very strange correction there. So, yeah, possibly overdriving that right rear tire, and you can start to walk away on you if you don't adjust back correctly or adjust your weight jack or your ARBs, whatever you're adjusting. So James Kennedy here in 2nd place, and Graham Bunyan in 3rd. And as we get close to, we can see Graham now actually going to be, well, that's AJ Musselman in front of him. So it appears as though Graham is going to be going around him. AJ must be a lap down now. Yeah, it's shown 178. So Graham, or no, I believe it's Dan. No, Dan Ensch is on the lead lap. So Musselman, there, your first car a lap down. Ensch is 7 seconds ahead of Musselman. So I imagine Dan is pretty close to going a lap down here. Dan fought his way back from being a lap down earlier. And in the meantime, while we have a moment, and this is for the lead here, folks, actually. David Zalesky and James Kennedy has just made his pass around Zalesky. I mean, Zalesky has just made his pass around Kennedy. Why did I get that so far backwards? It's actually Kennedy around Zalesky. Oh, boy. Need that second cup of coffee. Anyway, James Kennedy overtakes David Zalesky, who possibly had an issue. His last lap was a 19.19, so is Zalesky having an issue? He's only gone about 25-30 laps, but possibly he was too dependent on that right rear. Either case, James Kennedy to the front, and I believe James Kennedy has the fuel to make it to the end. But we will have to see. He did stop on 156, and he has to get to 205. So can he make it 49 laps without a caution? That is the question. I don't believe the other drivers can make it. So we're going to see another pit stop coming up at some point soon for the other drivers. Before we get to that, let's go ahead and get some business out of the way, just like to call attention at the moment to the product that you see on your screen. This is the StickQuik. I don't know if you've heard of this, but the StickQuik is about the coolest thing ever as far as I'm concerned. It's the ultimate tool accessory. Patented StickQuik is the only product of its kind designed to hold multiple types of hand tools, cooking utensils, and writing implements to any surface, making the item ready for instant retrieval and use. And the way it works is just really cool. It actually expands to twice the size that you see there of those rings, and so you can put anything you want inside of it. You can put anything round, that is, or square. Inside of it, you see the tools, handles of screwdrivers, utensils in your kitchen. It's just great for everything. I saw some markers for dry erase board. It's just super, super handy. I'm getting myself a set of green ones to match my race team colors. And so anyway, you can go to StickQuik.com for more information. StickQuik, the ultimate tool accessory, and a proud partner of the US IndyCar League, and also the title sponsor of this race. So we go back to our live coverage, and it's James Kennedy up there in first from Dallas, Texas. As I said before, Kennedy he's making his name known here, that he is ready to take on this championship. I think he just sort of snuck up through the field as Graham Bunyan had his issue, as Jason Lowe had his issue. All eyes were on them, but it's James Kennedy out front now on a field strategy that just might carry him to the end. So in the meantime, while we were under commercial, I hate using that term, but we were. So here was the pass of Graham Bunyan on David Zalesky for second place. Whoa, what a tight, my goodness, that is just scary to watch. Let's see if we watch it from Zalesky's point of view. They're right up the track in front, possibly stealing some air off the front of the car. Zalesky has to settle back in after that one and catch his breath. In the meantime, I mean, you can't really say enough about this guy, Graham Bunyan. Now, he was dominating earlier, and with 9 laps to go, Graham has fought his way back up to second, and he's on a tear. Unfortunately, it's about a 3.77 second gap, and growing a little bit, to this man, James Kennedy, who we were just talking about. Now, James doing 18.30 last time to, I'm sorry, 18.46 to Graham's 18.64. So Graham actually losing a little bit of time. And meanwhile, David Zalesky doing his best to hang on to third here, having slipped 3 seconds back of Graham. Tough to tell whether David is going to be able to hang on. And yes, that's correct. It is Dan Ensch. Dan running a very low line. Dan doing a 19.73. I think Dan is almost out of fuel and is possibly trying to conserve the last 5 laps. We're going to be seeing a lot of this, folks. Who else is off the pace? AJ Musselman is still on the pace in 5th place, taking his foot way out of the gas. What will happen here as we get to the end? It is James Kennedy coming back up the track as Howard Livingston had a moment there on the outside. And Kennedy having gained 2 positions today, doesn't appear to be slowing down. It's just 3 laps to go for the Texan. And Graham Bunyan well back up the field, now 3.8 seconds off the pace. I'm not sure if Graham can make it. It says he hit it on lap 140, but it is the white flag for James Kennedy. He does appear as though he's going to make it. He can probably coast from here. Still 4 seconds back to Graham. Did Graham run out of gas? No, he did not. Still under power. And it's James Kennedy across the line for the victory. James Kennedy pulls one off, and Graham Bunyan in second place. For Graham, difficult to factor how that happened, as David Zalesky manages to stay in front of Dan Ensch there. Ensch was actually a lap down, but Zalesky comes home in third, and it's Dan Ensch in fourth, a lap down. Dan, the second place finisher last season, as I've mentioned multiple times, coming home in a good points paying top 5 finish. As Kennedy brings it down pit road, it doesn't appear as though we're going to be seeing any sort of victory donuts today from that man. However, James, and we can see Graham Bunyan actually stopping on track. Is he possibly stopping at start-finish line? The other drivers not stopping at start-finish line, but Graham, I'm sure, has a good look at that start-finish and is curious as to what went wrong exactly on that pit entry. So we take a look here at the final race results. Eventually. And there they are. It is, as I mentioned, James Kennedy in first, Graham Bunyan in second, David Zalesky comes home third, Dan Ensch in fourth, AJ Musselman in fifth in his debut. So congratulations to him. Jeff Murray in sixth. Jeff was having a fantastic race, also suffering an issue. Richard Kelbaugh pulling it together and actually turning out a good finish here for him. Seventh place, Howard Livingston, a frequent front runner in this series, finishing in seventh, and finishing in eighth. Rick Lovison in ninth, Mike West in 10th, Will Stearns in 11th, series defending champion Jason Lowe, unfortunately having issues early on, multiple contacts with the wall. That put him into 12th for the final running order. Inigo Mardones, I don't think really had many laps out there, as well as Manuel Gomez Esteban. Rounding out the end of the order, they're in 14th. So congratulations to our top 3. Taking a look over into our chat room at the moment for our broadcast, I'd like to, I'm not seeing our top 3 in our broadcast booth at the moment. I'm hoping that they'll join us. But who we do have in the broadcast booth is actually my Last Lap Motorsports teammate and our 4th place finisher, Dan Ensch. Dan, can you hear me? I'm not sure if Dan can hear me in the chat. Hey, Dan, can you hear me there in the booth?
Yeah, we got you, Trevor.
All right. Okay, that's awesome. I forgot I have to push the button so that we can both talk at the same time. Anyway, so Dan, congratulations there on your 4th place finish. It was a question mark all the way through the race with all that strategy. How did it play out for you?
Well, it might have played out a little better if I'd topped off my tank a little bit more on the last stint there. I had to conserve mightily in the last few. And in fact, if I hadn't let the leaders go by me, I probably wouldn't have made it to the finish line. So the Spark Els.org car was better than I was today. My strategy was a little bit off, but we had a good run. We had a good pace, and I felt like I was competitive all day, and that was fun.
You certainly were competitive all day. We saw multiple passes. Was fuel strategy saving a big key here, and how did the tires work out for you?
Well, fuel strategy, I shouldn't have cut it that close, but the real strategy was the undercut and the overcut, which one was going to work better. And everybody tried a little different strategy, and that's what made it so interesting. I think my undercut worked for a couple of positions, but it didn't work as far as the overall win.
Yeah, tough call there. And tire degradation, did you find tires to be a problem? Were you able to manage it with the in-car adjustments on the Dallara IR18?
Yeah, I think that was one of the keys for me was tire management. I was backing off early in the corners and taking a good run out, keeping my weight jacker as low as I could so that I'd have more grip coming off of the corners. And it was working out fine for me. I found I was a lot faster than the others later on in the run. So, yeah, tire management was everything here.
Well, I appreciate you joining me in here. And in the meantime, I see that our third place finisher, David Zalesky, has just joined us here in the booth. And thanks again, Dan. Congratulations to you on your fourth place finish. We look forward to talking to you much more going forward.
Well, and thank you to StickQuik and to you guys for helping put this race on today. StickQuik always right there for us, and we do appreciate them. Thanks, Trevor.
Yeah, you bet. Absolutely. So, David Zalesky, can you hear me here in the broadcast booth?
Yeah, I got you.
Hey, man, that was an exciting race. You were up and I mean, you gained 5 positions on the day, and it looked like you were up in the lead. Did you have an issue there towards the end, or were you trying to save fuel? What exactly happened to take you out of the lead there?
I took my eyes off the road and smacked the wall pretty much.
Oh no, that can happen so easily in these cars. It's just, I mean, just a little brush of the wall, right? So did it take down your overall lap speed? I mean, was it causing you to lose miles per hour at the end of the straight?
The car was pretty much junk after that. There was nothing I could do.
So you just survived with the third place, but still, after leading so many laps and running at the top, it must feel really good to start the season this way. You're going to start the season with third place points, and of course, it's a long season to go, including a drop week this season. So just take me through that. How did it feel to come up into the lead? How was it feeling at that point? And did you feel at any point that you were in total control of the race?
No, I didn't really feel like I had control of the race. Pretty much Graham and James, they're class of the field. And when Graham missed pit road there, and I figured, all right, well, I'll settle in for a second place. And then he started catching back up there. And then I seen there on the last pit stop, I short pitted James a little bit, tried to take advantage of the tires, and that's what paid off.
Yeah, it looked like he missed pit road. He wasn't the only one to miss that, but he missed it, had to go completely around again. And again, so easy to do, but you managed to make your entrances to pit road. So that definitely paid off. What was going through your mind as you're up there racing with Graham Bunyan and you're racing with all these leaders you're racing? I mean, you're very experienced. You have wins in this league. But there you are in the season opener. You're right at the front. It must have felt pretty satisfying.
Yeah, Graham, he's the guy to beat, week in and week out, and I tell you, my goal every race is to keep up, top 5, top 6, and try to keep up with these guys. I mean, every guy in this league they're pretty fast, so great group of people.
Absolutely. And this was a fantastic race. Not very many cautions. Everybody really executing strategy well. So congratulations to you. Even though it's not exactly what you wanted, you still have a third place finish. You're third in the points. And we'll look forward to seeing you in our next rounds. Congrats.
Thanks, Trevor. I appreciate it. And I want to send a shout out to StickQuik and thank them for staying on board with us.
Absolutely. I'm loving this StickQuik thing. I can't wait to get them in the mail. So yeah, thank you so much, David, for that. And I see that Graham Bunyan has actually joined us, our second place finisher in today's race, the StickQuik 180. Graham, can you hear me in the booth?
I certainly can, Trevor. How are you, mate?
I am doing just fantastic. what time is it down there in Brisbane?
What are we? 1:26 a.m. as it clicks over.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. These races are not always so convenient for you guys. But you look like you were doing everything right except for one thing today. And so take me through the race. You were in control from the very beginning until that pit stop came.
Yeah, look, it was a dicey start on cold tires. It took about 4 or 5 laps for the tires to kick in, and I was like minus 12, minus 11 on the start of the run on the weight checker, and once it kicked in, it was okay. Man, I had a brain fade. The temperature in the front right-hand tire was phenomenal. It was huge. I don't think I've ever ran a car with a higher temp like that on the front right. So that's sort of made me overshoot pit entry. I'm sort of normally pretty quick coming in the pits, but as everyone knows, I think that's my gain is in the pits. But yeah, man, it was crazy as out there.
So you you first of all, you were suffering badly on the tires. Some of that it comes down to maybe your adjustments in the car where you're running that. Of course, you're running very fast speeds. You're at the front. You're pulling away from people. So, but talking to Dan Ensch, he wasn't having much in the way of tire degradation issues at all. But now you get down to do that pit stop and you overshoot it and you have to run completely down pit lane at a reduced speed, obviously not on the track, come back all the way around and make your pit stop. So had that not happened, I mean, you were only 4 seconds from taking this victory. What can you do about that in the future? How can you possibly fix that?
Yeah, maybe keep in mind of hot tires. Like, I run my brakes towards the front. I don't like them at the rear when I'm coming into pit. I find that gives me a straighter pit entry when I do hit the brakes. It doesn't want to make the car unsteady, but this time around, like I said, just hot tires. I just overshot that entry. I think I bit a little bit more off than I could chew, but the pit was good. Coming back out was good, and somewhere along the line, I come out of turn 4 and I scraped the wall down the whole front straight to the start finish line. I just couldn't get off it, and I knocked the toe out on the rear and done a bit of side pod damage on the side and front right wing damage, which I'm looking at right now. But yeah, I just had nothing then. I was running crazy weight jacker. I was actually in the plus. By the end of it all, I was like, I think it was like about plus 12 on the weight jacker. 6 and 2 on the bars. It was just crazy.
Yeah, and again, well, I'm sure everybody appreciates you giving away that information, but everybody has their own approach to where they want to run the fixed setup that they're handed from these guys. And again, that competitive advantage or moving around the brake bias can work in your favor or sometimes not and make it difficult. But still, you had that issue, you dropped well back, you managed to come back through the field. And I just want to stress that again, you're using the same setup as everyone else. It just comes down to how you use those tools and what your line is like. You did an amazing job charging back forward. It must give you a lot of confidence going forward into this season that, hey, you still got it. You took a little bit of time off, but you've got something for everybody for the rest of the season.
Oh yeah, I've definitely got something under the helmet there to work the tools and get it going and get it fast. And look, the setups are what they are. They're good. Some are a little bit iffy sometimes, but other than that, they're really good. And once you get your head around them and know what tools you need to use to get the car to be fast, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So I've definitely got something for them. That's for sure.
Well, Graham, you've had, you are, according to my stats, you are the most winningest driver in the series in the last 3 seasons over Jason Lowe. So he didn't win today, so you still maintain that advantage for him. Any thoughts going towards our next race?
Look, to be honest with you, I haven't even looked where we're racing next. You might be able to tell me that, but
It's Kansas.
Kansas, love that track. If the setup's good, I'm definitely there. But yeah, look, everybody's great. Everybody's great to race with, and a few things have changed this season, which is good. And I did take a little bit of time off last season just due to work commitments, work in the health sector. So thanks, COVID.
Right. So, well, thank you, Graham. I really do hope we get a chance to see you all season, and that, work lets you do this. I know for all of us, this is not our first job, so making these time commitments is really important. And I know I'm keeping you up late, but thanks for joining me here in the booth, and thanks for racing in the series. You're a great competitor, and we look forward to seeing what you can do as one of our best international drivers for sure. Thanks, Graham. Good luck to you for the rest of the season.
Yeah, no worries at all, Trevor. I'll just give a shout out to StickQuik and also to Jason, Richard, Howard, and David for keeping this thing going, and Dan supplying some setups and stuff, and just everybody working together. It's been good.
Absolutely. All good folks putting this show together. We saw a great race today. Thanks again, Graham, for joining us, and good luck to you. Congratulations on your second place finish here. I don't believe we have James Kennedy in the booth, so we won't get a chance to talk to him, our winner today. But Kennedy will walk away the championship points leader, and Graham Bunyan will be second with David Zalesky, Dan Ensch, and newcomer to the series, AJ Musselman, finding himself in 5th place in the points. So quite an interesting way to get going here in terms of the results. This is not what we would have necessarily predicted. However, all great drivers there at the front of the championship, and they're going to lead us into Kansas, as you see there on the screen. So Kansas Speedway, followed by the Indy Oval. We've got Pocono, the Auto Club Speedway in Fontana. Thankfully, in the virtual world, we're not in danger of losing that track anytime soon. And then we have Monza, which is our one road course for this season. It has no chicanes in this race, so that will be exciting to see. Very high speed. Then we go to Gateway. It's Worldwide Technology Raceway. And then, as you can see, the Legacy Texas Circuit, Legacy Phoenix Raceway, which is, of course, the Oval. Las Vegas Motor Speedway at night, which should be a lot of fun. Then Michigan, and our 12th week will be Chicagoland Speedway. So you can see all these races there, and we'll try to make it easy for you on the YouTube channel. If you don't mind, head on over to the YouTube channel if you're not watching this there, or if you are, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. That way you'll be notified of all of the upcoming races coming to you on VirtualRacing.Network, including all of the US IndyCar League. We also do cover at the moment the IndyCar iRacing series. That happens every Friday. So again, thank you so much for joining us in this opening round. It was James Kennedy who managed to pull off the surprising victory here in Iowa as our first round comes to a close. I'd like to thank all the competitors for joining us, and of course, StickQuik for being the sponsor of the race, as well as being the sponsor of the championship. So thank you very much, StickQuik, and thanks to all those that are involved. We will see you next time from Kansas Speedway. This is Trevor Greenfield, signing off for now. We'll see you next time from Kansas. Bye, everyone.